It was supposed to be another silent night in Hellridge, a town that had long forgotten peace. Inside a dimly lit garage on the outskirts, the Ironhounds Motorcycle Club was finishing their midnight ride. Engines cooling, laughter echoing off rusted walls. Then, through the sound of cracking chains and oil-stained jokes, came a trembling voice that didn't belong there. "Can you hide me from my daddy?" Every conversation stopped cold. 12 hardened bikers turned toward the doorway. There stood a little girl, no more than 6 years old. Her shoes torn, her face streaked with dirt and tears, clutching a pink backpack almost as big as she was. The club president, Ryder Kane, a man known for a face carved by scars and wars he never spoke about, stepped forward slowly. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "My name's Mira Lopez," she whispered. "My daddy's coming to get me, and I don't want to go." Ryder exchanged glances with his men. None of them were used to fear this small. "Where's your mama, kiddo?" asked Blaze, the club's enforcer, his tattooed knuckles flexing nervously. Mira swallowed hard. "Mommy's sleeping in heaven. Daddy said so, but I think Daddy made her go to sleep." The room went quiet enough to hear the ticking of the neon clock above the bar. Every man there had seen blood before, but not like this. Not through the eyes of child. Ryder crouched down to meet her gaze. "How'd you find us?" "I followed the broken white line on the road," she said softly. "Mommy showed me once. She said if anything bad ever happened, I should find the scary people who fight monsters." From her pink backpack, Mira pulled out a few crushed granola bars, a phone, and something else. A kitchen knife, its blade still streaked with dried blood. She said to take evidence. The girl murmured, holding it up like it was sacred. "Is this evidence?" Every man in the garage froze. Then, with shaking hands, Mira unzipped another pocket and pulled out a tiny flash drive attached to a Hello Kitty keychain and an old digital camera. "Mommy said the police wouldn't believe her unless we took pictures. She told me to give this to them if anything bad happened." Ryder gently took the camera. The first photo showed a woman with a swollen eye. The second, bruises. The third, they couldn't even look at for long. There were 47 photos in total. Months of torment. Blaze clenched his jaw. "Where's your dad now?" "With his friends," Mira said, clutching her backpack. "He said when he comes back, we're going somewhere far away. Somewhere nobody will find us." Her voice cracked. "But I don't want to go." That's when they heard it. The sound of engines outside. Not motorcycles. Cars. Headlights flooded the garage. 3 black sedans rolled to a stop. Myra's eyes widened in terror. "That's Daddy's friends," she whispered. "Please don't let them take me." Ryder's men spread out instinctively, the air suddenly thick with adrenaline. Then came the pounding of boots. A man staggered out of the lead car. Myra's father, wild-eyed and drunk, a gun glinting in his hand. 2 other men followed, clean-cut and calm. Too calm. Cartel calm. "Mira," her father roared. "You took something that doesn't belong to you." "Sir, you need to leave," Ryder called out. "That drive has everything," the father spat. "Our operation, our money, our people. You think you can hide her?" He turned to his cartel partners. "We don't leave witnesses." One of the men raised his weapon. Mira stepped out from behind Ryder before anyone could stop her. "You hurt Mommy," she said in a trembling voice that grew stronger with every word. "You made her go to sleep forever. Mommy said to take pictures so everyone would know what you did." Her father sneered. "You don't know what you've done, you little brat." He lifted his gun, but never got the chance to fire. What happened next lasted less than 90 seconds. The bikers moved as one. Years of chaos turned into precise, brutal coordination. By the time silence returned, 3 men were zip-tied on the floor, their guns scattered. Mira picked up one of the pistols delicately by the trigger guard, her tiny hand steady. "This goes to the police, too," she whispered. "More evidence." Ryder knelt beside her, looking at the flash drive, the key to everything. "It's over, kiddo." But he was wrong. Far from over. Because when the police came 20 minutes later, Myra's father and his associates were arrested for murder, kidnapping, and ties to organized crime. But Mira had nowhere to go. Her mother was gone, and the state didn't know what to do with a child whose only protectors were 12 men with criminal records. The social worker, a stern woman named Margaret Doyle, folded her arms as she looked at the biker clubhouse. "You're the president of an outlaw motorcycle gang," she said flatly. "The state can't place a child with you." "Then the state's got a problem," Ryder replied. "Because she chose us, and we're not letting her go." Mira looked up at him, eyes wide but trusting. "You're not going to let Daddy's friends find me, right?" Ryder shook his head. "Not while we're breathing." Outside, the sirens faded into the night. Inside, the Iron Hound stood quietly around a little girl who had just changed their world forever. But the battle for her safety and their redemption was only beginning. 3 days after that night, the Hellridge Police Department turned the case over to state authorities. Reporters swarmed the county courthouse, hungry for a headline that made no sense. "Biker gang rescues child from cartel father." But behind those headlines, the truth was far messier. Mira was officially under temporary custody of the state, with Margaret Doyle appointed as her guardian. But when Margaret tried to take the child from the Iron Hound's garage, Mira clung to Ryder's leather jacket, screaming, "Please don't make me go." Margaret hesitated. She'd seen trauma before, but never loyalty this fierce, this fast. "She needs stability," Margaret said, trying to sound firm. "She has it," Ryder countered. "Right here." The next few weeks turned the Iron Hound's clubhouse upside down. The men who used to argue over engine parts and beer brands now found themselves discussing bedtime routines and nutrition. It started small. Blaze swapped his cigars for storybooks. Tank, a mountain of a man with hands that could crush steel, spent hours learning how to braid hair from YouTube tutorials. Snake, the quiet one, learned how to cook pancakes badly. Every morning the smell of burnt batter filled the air, and Mira laughed harder than she had in months. But even with laughter came shadows. Mira still woke up screaming some nights. One of those nights, Chains, the club's enforcer, the one with teardrop tattoos under his eyes, rushed into her room, panic written across his face. Hey, little warrior," he said softly, sitting by her bed. "You're safe now. The monsters can't get you here." "But what if they come back?" she whimpered. Chains scratched his head. Comfort wasn't his skill. Then he said, "Well, see, monsters are scared of bigger monsters. And lucky for you, you're living with the biggest monsters in the whole state." Mira blinked at him through her tears. "Promise." He nodded. "Cross my heart, kiddo. If you ever get scared, just yell for Uncle Chains. I'll come running, even if I'm in the shower, even if I'm halfway to nowhere." That was the night something changed, not just for Mira, but for the Iron Hounds. They stopped being a gang that survived for themselves. They became a family that lived for her. By the second week, the clubhouse didn't even look the same. The walls once covered with posters of old fights and road maps were now filled with Myra's drawings. Colorful stick figures of bikers with angel wings, labeled "My Uncles." The fridge was stuffed with juice boxes and apple slices instead of beer. And the toughest men in Hellridge learned to sing lullabies, badly, but with heart. Then, on the 15th night, the test came. Mira fell ill. Her fever shot up past 102, and panic tore through the clubhouse. "Do we call a doctor?" Tank yelled, pacing like a bull in a cage. "Hospital's 30 minutes away." Blaze shouted, "She might not make it if." "Enough," Ryder barked. "Doc, what do we do?" The club's medic, Doc Rivers, checked Myra's pulse with trembling hands. "It's just a fever. She'll be fine. We just have to keep her hydrated." But Ryder could see the fear in his eyes. For 12 men who faced bullets and knives without flinching, the sight of one sick child was their undoing. They worked in shifts. Chains read stories beside her bed, his deep voice trembling through children's books. Snake sat outside the room, whispering prayers he hadn't said in 20 years. Blaze brought ice packs every hour, even when he burned his hands switching them out. By dawn, the fever broke. When Mira opened her eyes, she found all 12 men asleep in chairs around her bed, arms crossed, heads drooping, coffee cups everywhere. "You all stayed with me?" she asked in a small, sleepy voice. Ryder stirred. "Of course we did, sweetheart. That's what daddies and uncles do." Mira smiled faintly. "Then, I guess you're my family now." Margaret Doyle witnessed this transformation firsthand during her weekly visits. She came expecting chaos, but what she found was something extraordinary. The Iron Hounds had built a system that worked. Crude, messy, but full of love. They took turns walking Mira to the bus stop. They turned the clubhouse bar into a study corner. They even added a bedtime rule: no engines after 9 p.m. Still, Margaret wasn't convinced the court would see it that way. "Mr. Kane," she said one afternoon, watching Mira braid Shane's beard on the porch, "you understand the state will never approve this as a permanent arrangement." Ryder met her gaze. "Then the state doesn't understand what family means." Margaret sighed. "And what if the court says no?" "Then," Ryder said quietly, "we'll fight it. We've fought tougher wars than bureaucracy." The hearing came 6 weeks later. The courtroom was packed: reporters, onlookers, officers. Mira sat between Ryder and Chains, wearing a little denim jacket with the Iron Hound's patch sewn on the back. The prosecutor looked like he was prosecuting the entire concept of redemption itself. "Your Honor," he said, "these men are career criminals. They've spent years breaking the law. This child needs role models, not outlaws." Ryder's lawyer stood. "Your Honor, those outlaws risked their lives to save a child from a murderer. They've provided more stability and love in 6 weeks than she's known in 6 years." Judge Patricia Harlow, known for her no-nonsense demeanor, looked at Mira. "Do you understand what's happening here today?" "Yes, ma'am," Mira said softly. "Some people think my new family is too scary. But they don't know that sometimes scary people protect you the most." "And you want to stay with them?" Mira nodded. "They keep the monsters away." The room went silent. Even the prosecutor shifted uncomfortably. But before the gavel could fall, something unexpected happened. Mira stood up, clutching her little pink backpack. "I made a club," she said. "It's called Little Guardians. For kids like me who got hurt or scared. I teach them how to be brave, like Mommy taught me." The judge blinked, speechless. Margaret Doyle rose slowly from her seat. "Your Honor," she said, her voice breaking, "in all my years of social work, I've never seen a child heal this fast, or a group of men transform this deeply. They didn't just save her, she saved them." Judge Harlow looked down, took a deep breath, and said the words that changed everything. "Custody granted." The room erupted. The Iron Hounds cheered like they'd won the Super Bowl. Mira leaped into Ryder's arms, whispering, "Thank you, Daddy." For the first time in his life, Ryder Kane cried. That night, the Iron Hounds didn't celebrate like bikers. They celebrated like fathers. The once rowdy garage roared with laughter, not engines. The air smelled of barbecue, not gasoline. In the middle of it all sat Mira, swinging her little legs on the bar counter, her pink backpack beside her like a badge of honor. She had no idea that her story was already spreading across the state. "Little Girl's Courage Exposes Cartel," the headlines read. "Motorcycle outlaws win custody in historic case." But inside the clubhouse, none of that mattered. For the first time, they weren't running from the world. They were building something worth staying for. Over the next few months, Myra's life began to bloom again. Every Saturday morning, the rumble of engines echoed through Hell Ridge, not for a ride, but for Little Guardians, the club she had started. At first, it was just Mira and 2 other kids from foster homes. By the 3rd month, there were a dozen, then 2 dozen. Children who had seen too much darkness found safety in a garage full of men society had called dangerous. The Iron Hounds became mentors, mechanics, and protectors all at once. Blaze taught the kids how to fix tires and change oil. Tank taught them how to lift without fear. Chains taught them how to stand tall, even when scared. And Ryder? He taught them that being tough didn't mean being cruel. Margaret Doyle still visited every week, clipboard in hand. But now her questions sounded more like curiosity than concern. "You really turned this place into a community center," she said, smiling as a child zoomed by on a toy motorcycle. Ryder shrugged. "Guess we just needed a reason to do something right for once." The truth was deeper than that. Saving Mira had changed them all. The Iron Hounds stopped fighting other clubs. They started running self-defense workshops for women. They worked with the local police to help with domestic abuse rescues, the very thing that had brought Mira to them. And though no one said it out loud, every man in that clubhouse carried a piece of her mother's memory like a silent promise. On the 1-year anniversary of a night she arrived, the Iron Hounds held their first founding ride of hope. Hundreds of bikers from neighboring towns joined them, engines echoing across the highways like thunder. But at the front of the convoy was Mira, helmet on, riding in a custom-built sidecar painted with pink flames and the words Little Guardian 1. That day, she wasn't just a survivor. She was a symbol. As they reached the hill overlooking Hellridge, Ryder killed the engine and looked down at her. "You know," he said, "you're the reason this family exists." Mira smiled, adjusting the strap on her pink backpack. "You mean the reason we fight monsters?" He chuckled softly. "Yeah, kiddo. Exactly that." Later that evening, the sun bled gold through the garage windows as the little guardians gathered for story time. Mira opened her backpack and carefully placed a few things on the table. Her mother's old phone, a coloring book, and a small disposable camera. "These are for the next kid who needs them," she said softly. "Mommy said evidence keeps monsters away, so we help other kids make their own." The room fell silent. Every man there understood what that meant. Ryder stepped forward, resting a hand on her shoulder. "You did good, Mira. You made your mama proud." She looked up at him, eyes bright. "I know. She told me so in my dream last night." That same week, an envelope arrived from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Inside was a sealed photo of the flash drive that had started it all. A note read, "Evidence from case 47-221B, permanently archived. Due to the actions of one child, a cartel operation has been dismantled. Lives saved, 56. Ryder placed it in a frame and hung it above the bar where everyone could see it. Right next to it hung Myra's crayon drawing, 12 bikers with wings, and a little girl in the middle holding a backpack labeled Courage. Years passed. Mira grew stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. When she turned 10, she announced her dream to the club. "I'm going to be a police officer," she said proudly, "so no little girl ever has to beg strangers to save her again." The room erupted in cheers. Chains lifted her onto his shoulders. "Then we'll be your first recruits, Officer Mira." Every year after that, on the night she first arrived, they gathered in the garage, lights dimmed, candles lit, engines quiet. They didn't celebrate what they had done for her. They celebrated what she had done for them, because she had reminded them that redemption was real, that even the most broken people could become protectors, and that sometimes the fiercest warriors come wrapped in innocence and pink backpacks. As the camera panned over the room that night, walls covered in children's drawings, laughter echoing off old metal, and engines gleaming under soft yellow light, Ryder's voiceover would say, "The night Mira walked into our garage, we thought she needed saving. But truth is she saved us first." If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more thrilling, cinematic stories just like this one. Now tell us in the comments, do you believe people with dark pasts can truly change when given something pure to protect? Or are some monsters just waiting for redemption? Whichever you believe, remember, sometimes even the darkest roads can lead to the brightest homes.